Assalamu alaikum.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر، الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعين به ونستهديه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فهو المهتد ومن يضلل الله فما له من هاد. ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، له الملك وله الحمد يحيي ويميت وهو على كل شيء قدير. ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أدى الأمانة وبلغ رسالة وجاهد في الله حق جهاده حتى أعطاه الله اليقين. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. Glory to Allah, the powerful, the creator, the provider, the sustainer, most gracious, most merciful, the King of the day of judgment, to whom all matters belong. I bear witness that Muhammad, may all the peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, is his messenger who conveyed Islam to mankind with no hesitation and no distortion. May Allah bless him and his followers till the day of judgment. Amma ba'd. Dear Muslims, for the khutbah today, inshallah, what I plan to do is talk a little bit about Surah Zariyat, chapter 51 in the Quran, and try to see what we can learn, lessons that benefit me and benefit you, and use this Jummah as an incentive for all of us to stay connected with the Quran, whether we read it every day or every week or at least every bi-weekly, to have this sort of connection with the Quran. And the purpose is to arouse interest in learning from the Quran. The basic premise of this surah, Surah Zariyat, is it's one of the early Meccan surahs. So the same message, which is basically Islam 101, which is that we are in this dunya for a test, and one day we will stand before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and answer for what we do. It's as simple as that. And this message is elaborated very well in verses number 5 and 6, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّمَا تُؤَدُونَ لَسَادِقٌ. What you have been promised, in fact, is absolutely true, will happen. وَإِنَّ الدِّينَ لَوَاقِعٌ. And this day of judgment, day of recompense, where you will be paid back, either rewarded or punished for what you do, is absolutely going to happen. This is a fact. And so, when the importance of this in the times of the mission of the Prophet ﷺ was that this message was totally ignored by the Quraysh, and they didn't want to believe in it. And today, even though the audience that I have today, we all believe in this, but if you look at our actions, do they reflect true belief in this? Do we truly believe that we are going to do? Because if we do, then our behavior should change. And so, let's see how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala approaches this. This same message is in many places in the Quran, but in each place Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses a unique approach to convince the people. And let's try to focus on how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tries to convince us in this surah. He starts this surah by swearing. Before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says something very important, He swears by something. And what is the purpose of this swear? To show the importance and significance of something. So this statement that this day of judgment is absolutely going to happen, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala swears by 4 verses before this. وَالزَّارِيَاتِ ذَرْوًا. What does that mean? وَالزَّارِيَاتِ, those that scatter and blow away. Zarwa, blowing away, referring to the winds. Referring to the winds. What they do is they scatter, whether it's dust, pollen particles, whatever is, they can scatter and blow away. And we sort of, a wind is something that you can't even see. Just like the day of judgment, from the ilm al-ghaib, you can't even see. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks us to use our imagination to think about the wind, something that we see, we think insignificant. They just scatter things. فَالْحَامِلَاتِ وِقْرًا. And they carry with it a very heavy weight. We all know the evaporation cycle of water today and the heavy rains that we have. We know that when warm air rises up, it carries moisture with it. They make clouds, and then they go and disperse rain everywhere. And the weight of this water, can you imagine? The floods that we have, the amount of water that comes down, just imagine the weight of this water. And the winds carry it with ease, the clouds are taken with ease. The next verse says, فَالْجَارِيَاتِ يُسْرًا, takes it with ease. Imagine a water tank or a tanker ship that carries fluid. The amount of energy you have to spend to propel it in the sea. And imagine the water that falls down, water that floods an entire city, carried by ease. And then finally Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, swears again, فَالْمُقَسِّمَاتِ أَمْرًا. These winds and these clouds, they distribute the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In other words, the risk that we have, that we get is dependent on this water that we get. If you don't have this, things dry up. And people starve to death literally. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala determines every single point on earth where water is supposed to go. The little patch of land in front of your front yard that feeds the cultivation is decided by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nothing is left to chance. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to think about these things. And the one who can do this surely has the ability. Because this was the basic problem with the Quraysh. They couldn't figure out when you die and you are in the ground and you're scattered into dust, how are you going to be resurrected again? How are you going to be resurrected again? They just couldn't figure that out. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, these dust, winds that scatter the dust away, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can get everything together and start life again. Now, what is the message for us? The message for us is that if we truly believe that we will stand before Allah one day, how should that change our behavior? Then in the surah, Allah does something that is again very common in the Quran, highlighting two groups of people. The one that don't believe in this and the ones that believe in this. In the case of the Prophet ﷺ, the Quraysh of Mecca and the Sahaba-i-Kiram, right? The two distinct populations. So first Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the first group and then swears again. وَالسَّمَاءِ ذَاتِ الْحُبُقِ. This time swearing by the heavens. You know, the winds and the air and the moisture that goes up. What happens in the heavens? وَالسَّمَاءِ ذَاتِ الْحُبُقِ. The sky of multiple paths and multiple constellations and multiple orbits, unique and different. Just like that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the next verse, إِنَّكُمْ لَفِي خَوْلٍ مُخْتَلِفٍ, referring to the Quraysh, that you people have a speech that is completely different. Sometimes they would say the Prophet ﷺ is a poet, makes up these things. At other times, he is a sorcerer, a magician. At other times, they would say he's a majnoon. He's, crazy. He's gone mad. Sometimes they would say, we don't believe in the Day of Judgment. At other times, they'll say, yeah, we do believe in the Day of Judgment, but, our idols will save us. Look at the logic and thinking of these people. The next verse is, يُوفَكُ عَنْهُ مَنْ أُفِقْ. Turn away from it. Who wants to turn away? This is a warning from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is important for all of us too. That from this truth and this Quran, it is easy to turn away. Some little thing might happen, you might be going on very well. I know people that are doing well, come to the masjid, do everything. Something happens like 9/11, like, I'm not going to the masjid anymore. That's it. Easy to turn away. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then says, قُتِلَ الْخَرَّاسُونَ. Destruction is for the kharrasun. Who are the kharrasun? You see, one of the problems we have, I have, and we all have, is we don't speak the lingo of the Quran. So when we hear something, it doesn't settle in. When the Quraysh would hear this, it had an effect on them because it was in their language. They understood these words. Kharrasun were people who used to estimate. If you had a orchard and you wanted to sell the fruit, and the fruit, somebody will come and buy the fruit from this tree. So how many dates are in here? They would look at it, and based on their wisdom or whatever experience, they would estimate. They would make this estimate. And as you know, when people estimate, there are a lot of things that entice you. If somebody is giving you money, you might say, well, it's less weight, right? So many differences based on estimate. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that these Quraysh that talk and say all these things about the deen are basically making this, like kharrasun, a wild guess. And then defines what these kharrasun in the next verse. الَّذِينَ هُمْ فِي غَمْرَةٍ سَاهُونَ. These are those that are in their ghamra. What is ghamra? Ghamra is this sort of a combination of jahala, ignorance, not knowing, and of heedlessness. I don't care. I don't know and I don't care. I don't need to know. Anything that doesn't fit what I want, what my desires are, what my nafs wants, then I'll come up with some argument against that. And this is common always. You watch TV, you just saw the hearings when the president's attorney was in Congress, and you see two groups of people supporting completely different things based on what? Which party they are on. And if you believe in the basic premise of Islam is what? That one day you will stand before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you will answer. And the answer has to be between haq and batil. What is right and what is wrong. Doesn't matter which party, doesn't matter which group, which religion, which nationality, nothing. Nothing matters. Who is right and who is wrong. That criteria is blurred by what? These personal alliances, personal interests. Oh, this benefits me, so I will support it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, "Qutil al-kharrasun." Destruction is for them. Yasaluna ayyana yawmuddin. They ask, when is the day of judgment? In other words, it's a nonsense. None of this will ever happen. And you know what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's response to that is? Yawmahum ala an-nar yuftanun. They ask, what is this day? Well, this is the day when they will be tried and tested on the fire. Yuftanun. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't say they will be burnt. They will be tested. Tapaye jaye. They will be tested. Trial. Because this is fitna. This fitna means this is the fitna they used to do on earth. Every time you do something wrong, say something wrong, support something wrong, what happens? Starts a fitna. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will recompense them for this fitna. Zuqu fitnatakum hadha alladhi kuntum bihi tastajirun. Taste your fitna. This fitna that you used to do in this dunya, taste this now. And this is what, you know what the Quraysh used to say? Bring it on. You promise us of this day of judgment, this punishment, bring it on. Hurry up, we don't want to wait that long. Bring it on. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, this is what that you used to say, tastajilun, bring it soon. Now, right after that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala compares the other group of people, the Sahaba Kiram, the Muslims, the people who believe in haq and batil. I don't care if it's against my son, I will never support batil. This is the philosophy, because I have to stand before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. On that day, people will be running from their children, from their parents, from their brothers and sisters. We have to realize that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the other group, إِنَّ الْمُتَّقِينَ فِي جَنَّاتٍ وَعُيُونٍ. And the people who are muttaqi, who protect themselves, save themselves, stay within the hudud of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَأَمَّا مَنْ خَافَ مَقَامَ رَبِّهِ وَنَهَى النَّفْسَ عَنِ الْهَوَى فَإِنَّ الْجَنَّةَ هِيَ الْمَأْوَى. Those that are afraid of standing before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَنَهَى النَّفْسَ عَنِ الْهَوَى, and stop their desires from all these lusts and desires and willful things. Make sure that stay within the hudud of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I love to do this. It makes me money, it's good for me, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has forbidden it. And then the next verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes them further. آخِذِينَ مَا آتَاهُمْ. These people in Jannah are enjoying. آخِذِينَ مَا آتَاهُمْ رَبُّهُمْ. They take what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, their Rabb, has given them, and they enjoy it. They are taking. These were people in the dunya also. They took what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave them and enjoyed it. They didn't say, you know what, I don't want to do anything. I'm not going to marry. I'm going to go in a monastery and live a life of seclusion. They did not do that. Whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave them within the hudud, they enjoyed it. They had a good life in this dunya. The dunya akhirah, they want the best in this dunya and the best in this akhirah. Fi dunya hasana wa fil akhirati hasana. Right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, these people on that day, آخذين ما آتاهم ربهم إنهم كانوا قبل ذلك محسنين. These are the people who were before this among the muhsineen. So now the question is, what is a muhsin? Who is a muhsin? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says the criteria of these people, number one is that they do ihsan. First criteria. They were among the muhsineen. What is ihsan? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, ihsan is various things depending on who you're dealing with. When it comes to your rights with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in your ibadah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, what is ihsan? An ta'budullaha ka'annaka tarah. That you worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as though you see Him. This is not easy to do. You have to reach that level where you can actually see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Not easy for everybody to do. So he qualified his statement. He said, if you can't do that, then at least imagine that He is looking at you. فَإِنَّهُ يَرَاكَ. He is looking at you. Imagine that. This is ihsan. In other words, your ibadah should be so focused, so good, of such high quality, as though He is watching you, or you are seeing Him, you are able to see Him. You have reached that level. When you are dealing with huquq al-ibad, people around you, ihsan is to do better than what they deserve. To treat people equally is not ihsan. That's adl. You are being just to people. You do more than that. Somebody is trying to break with you, you make an effort to join with them. Very hard to do. Ihsan. These are the people who used to do ihsan. And whatever they did was to the best of their ability. This is called ihsan. No, my boss is not looking at me, so why do I need to do? Who is going to benefit from this? No. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has all given us all abilities. You do things to the best of your ability. This is ihsan. First quality, إنهم كانوا قبل ذلك محسنين. كانوا قليلا من الليل ما يهجعون. These were those that would sleep little during the night. Haja is to sleep like a log. Forget about it. No worries. Sleeping. No. These people would get up in the night. They would sleep very little. Now look at the comparison here for a minute. On the one hand are the kharrasun, who during the day have no regard. They are heedless during the day. And here's another muttaqi who at night is so conscious he won't sleep. Complete heedlessness opposed to always remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The ultimate concept of taqwa. كانوا خليلا من الليل ما يهجعون وبالأسحار يستغفرون. And in the early mornings of the early hours of the morning, late night, that is when they would get up and ask for istighfar. These are people who realize that I did all these things bad, and they ask for forgiveness at that time of night. So the first thing, muttaqeen, what? Ihsan. Number two, istighfar. They ask for forgiveness in this dunya while they have time. And number three, وَفِي أَمْوَالِهِمْ حَقٌّ لِلسَّائِلِ وَالْمَحْرُومِ. And in their wealth is a haqq, a known portion, a guaranteed portion. For whom? لِلسَّائِلِ, those that ask. They are poor, they don't have anything, they have to ask, beg people. وَالْمَحْرُومِ. And those that are deprived, they are not asking, but they're deprived, they need the help. but they have too much honor and dignity and self-respect to ask. And this is the right. When you spend on them, you're not doing them a favor. That is the due right. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that it is our job to find these people. Now let me ask you this. How do you find out somebody who is mahroom? Unless you interact with the community, unless you meet, unless you come to the masjid, how are you going to find out? And that is your responsibility. So the third thing is infaq. Ihsan, doing things to the best of your ability. Istighfar. And infaq, spending. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم. I have said these words of mine and I ask forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for myself and for all of you. Alhamdulillah wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulullah. You know, the beauty of the Prophet ﷺ was that he used to explain what was in the Quran. He used to explain what was in the Quran. And this is the entire collection of ahadith. The ahadith are nothing but explanation of the Quran. So in the famous hadith that we've heard many times, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala basically explains these verses about the muttaqin. When he said that Allah subhanahu, and I'm paraphrasing this is in Bukhari, that in the last third of the night, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comes down to the lower heavens of the Sama Dunya and says, who is there? This is the time when most of us are sleeping. He says, who is there who will ask? Who is there who will call on me and I will listen to him? Who is there who will ask me for something so that I can give him? We worry about so many things. And there is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, while we are sleeping, asking, who is there who will ask me so that I will give him? And who is there who will ask me for forgiveness that I will forgive him? While we are sleeping, he's there waiting for us. And finally, the last part of the hadith is really interesting. He says that then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spreads his hands, and who will give a loan to one who doesn't need it, who's not needy, and who's not zalim, he doesn't do zulm on anyone. So what does the hadith say? Ihsan, getting up at night when everyone is sleeping. Number 2, istighfar. Number 3, infaq. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the tawfiq to use this Quran, make it our companion, and be consistent with it, do justice to it. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us and our families. May He guide us and our children, and especially these times that we live that are difficult for all of us. May He help us stay connected with the Quran and be part of this ummah. May He forgive us, our parents, our children, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless this community of ours. Ibadallah, uzkurullah al-azima yazkurkum, wastaghfiruhu yaghfir lakum, wa aqimus salat.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
استووا واستقاموا وتراصوا. Please straighten your line and fill in the gaps. Allahu Akbar. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. Maliki Yawm Ad-Din. Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. Ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim. Sirata alladhina an'amta alayhim غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. آمين. أرأيت الذي يكذب بالدين فذلك الذي يدع اليتيم ولا يهد على طعام المسكين فويل للمصلين الذين هم عن صلاتهم ساهون الذين هم يراءون ويمنعون الماعون. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. آمين. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله